Welcome back to Ode to Ghosts. We're your ghosts, your hosts. Will.
And Audrey.
We have cuatro stories today, and we're back
Plus
with a video, that
Yay.
you found, so hopefully it's good.
I think so, but who knows? Maybe it's just interesting to me.
How have you been?
Great.
Good.
How have you been?
I've been okay.
It's as if we don't know each other.
I've been
In
kind of
real
struggling
life.
a little bit lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With what? Personal problems?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was going to try to come up with a joke, but it's not really even a joke.
That was really funny.
That was really funny.
Yeah. Anyways.
Great way to start off the show. 4 stories, 1 video, lots of spookiness.
And different lighting.
I know. We don't know how we feel about it yet because we haven't.
I feel like I like the vibe of it better,
Mhm.
like sitting here. I just don't know how it's going to look on camera.
So hopefully
That's
it looks good right now to
Yeah.
you guys.
So
I think
let
it
us
will.
know if you like this better or not, or if we
Yeah.
should ditch this and go back to the bright
It's a little
light.
bit spookier, and we got rid of some shadows back there.
Uh-huh.
So I think this might be the way to go.
Yeah.
After we already spent.
But we
money on
want
lights.
everyone else's opinions because they're the ones watching it. and
Yeah, but
having
at the end
to-
of the day, it's our podcast.
Okay, but it's whatever.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
Okay.
Who's going first?
I want to go first
Okay.
because I'm really excited about my story that I'm about to read.
All right, go for it.
Okay. Before I start, it's not, I said this to you earlier, but it's not necessarily the most scary story.
Dang it. I'm just kidding.
But it is seemingly paranormal, and it's
Seemingly.
well, there's discussion that can be made about
Okay.
this. And it's just very interesting. So anyways.
Okay, before you do that, I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay. Great.
I know we said we weren't going to mention them, but how many times do we have to pop it for them to?
You could have just popped it and then said nothing.
How many times?
It's literally
do we have?
in the video. Okay.
Sorry.
So this is posted in the unexplained subreddit, and the user is Dot on a Sunday, and they responded like immediately after I asked them about it.
What a goat.
So that's great. The title is, I don't know if this was divine intervention or something very dark. Notes before you read. This is my true personal story, and I have only told a few people because most do not believe me. This has been weighing on me for over a decade, and I need your guys' thoughts. I wrote this entire post myself, but I did use AI to hopefully clarify a little bit so that it is less confusing, specifically the explanation of what our street looked like. Thought it would be wrong if I didn't disclose that. I am honestly super nervous to share this story, so here goes nothing.
I'm nervous too.
I, 23 female, was about 8 or 9 years old when this happened. My mom and I lived in a 3rd-floor apartment while she was in nursing school. One of her friends from school, whom I'll call Mary, had a daughter around my age, maybe a year or two older. I'll call her Betsy. One night, my mom and Mary were studying and hanging out in our apartment while Betsy and I tried to find a movie to watch since we had exhausted all of our toys. It was around 9 p.m. and I didn't have anything at home that we wanted to watch. Mary, however, had a box of DVDs in her car's trunk. Betsy and I asked if we could go down to the parking lot to look for Despicable Me. Since our apartment balcony faced the parking lot, our mom said yes, reminding us that they'd keep the balcony door open and check on us while we were outside. And this next paragraph is just a very long paragraph describing what the parking lot looked like, but like very briefly, very brief, short description of it. It was like the cars and then a one-way road going this way, a median, and then another one-way road. Like a loop.
Okay.
Betsy and I went down to Mary's car, which was parked in a spot across the median, but directly in front of our apartment/balcony. Her trunk was packed with clothes, boxes, and other random items, so we had to take a lot of stuff out to find the DVDs. As we were searching, we noticed an old, powder blue pickup truck driving towards us from the direction of the dumpsters. It stopped about 100 feet away, turned on its brights, and just sat there. There is also a picture that she included of the parking lot that will make it easier to understand that we can put right there.
I love doing that.
I've always been an anxious person since my mom had drilled stranger danger into my head from a young age. I told Betsy that we should leave, but she brushed it off, saying the driver was probably just being careful not to hit us since it was dark out. The truck flashed its brights once or twice before finally driving past us. But instead of continuing down the street or leaving the complex, it made a U-turn around the median and went back the way it came. That felt weird, but we were too focused on finding our DVD to think much of it.
Gotta find Despicable Me.
Exactly. A few minutes later, we were still looking for the movie. We had resorted to taking everything out of the trunk and putting it on the ground so that we could see inside the trunk more clearly. Then the truck came back. This time, it stopped closer, flashed its brights again, and just sat there. A horrible sinking feeling settled into my stomach. The truck flashed its brights, did another U-turn after slowly driving by us again. Betsy insisted it was nothing, but I told her that if the truck came back once more, I was going upstairs, DVD or not. She laughed at me, but agreed. We kept looking, and sure enough, the truck returned and parked even closer. The driver revved the engine multiple times, then inched towards us, flashing the lights repeatedly. Pure terror shot through me, and Betsy finally realized something was very wrong. We started shoving everything back into the trunk as fast as we could. The truck kept creeping closer, stopping, revving, flashing its lights over and over.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is another instance of why are you not moving? You're thinking too much and not doing enough.
Yeah. They're also like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, just be smarter.
Then, every single car in the parking lot, at least 40 of them, turned on their hazard lights and their alarms started blaring. The entire parking lot lit up with flashing lights. The noise was deafening. I have never heard anything that loud in my life. The moment we realized what was happening, Betsy and I ran. We didn't care about the mess anymore. We just sprinted back to the apartment screaming. The truck sped off, leaving the complex without going back in the direction it had come from. As we ran up the 3 flights of stairs, I could still hear the alarms. We were crying, panicked, and pounding on the apartment door the second we got there. When my mom opened it, she and Mary looked completely confused. I turned towards the balcony. The door was still open. They should have seen and heard everything, but when we ran inside and tried to show them, the parking lot was silent. No alarms, no hazards flashing, just the mess we'd left behind.
That's just how it goes.
Our mom asked why we had left everything on the ground and told us we had to go pick it up. When we tried to explain what had happened, they didn't believe us. They laughed it off and told us to calm down before going back downstairs. I'm 23 now, and I think about that night all the time. I still have nightmares about that truck at least once a month. Betsy and I lost touch after my mom finished school, but every once in a while I text her to ask if she remembers, kind of to reassure myself that I didn't make it up in my head. She always remembers, and she also has dreams. The only person who ever truly believed me other than Betsy was my dad. When I told him the story a few days later, he said I looked more terrified than he'd ever seen me. He thinks it could have been a power surge, but didn't know for sure because it was all so bizarre. I have no idea what actually happened that night. I don't know if it was divine intervention, something supernatural, or just an incredibly close call with a dangerous person, but I think about it every single day.
That is not a power surge, buddy.
Yeah, and then they put an edit saying that they've added the picture in the comments to make it easier to visualize.
This is of the parking lot, right?
Yeah, and then they describe that the white marks where the apartment was, the red marks where Mary's car was, the blue shows the truck's path.
Put it up here again.
Yeah, it will. And the pink indicates what used to be a larger parking lot, but they've done some construction since we moved away. Hopefully this helps. So that's the story. And before I go into some of the theories in the comments, I want to hear what you think was like the reason for all that.
I'm stumped. It's not a power surge. I can tell you that.
No.
I'm not an electrician or anything, but I'm pretty sure that's not how power surges work.
No. And like also, I feel like that would be a more common occurrence for every single vehicle in a parking lot to start going off at the same time.
I was smarter in terms of like everything. So if you were like, was this a power surge? I could be like, well, no, because, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that the truck was the danger?
This is good. So the truck could have been a warning.
Mm-hmm.
and a warning to let these people know that there was bad energy in the
Mm-hmm.
parking lot, like hence the like flashing lights and like because like
Yeah.
typically if you're driving a vehicle that means like something's up, right?
Right.
Um, and then they waited around for long enough for the bad energy to get there, and bad
Mm.
energy was unhappy
Okay.
and just made the parking lot go nuts to actually scare them off. The only thing with that, however, is I feel like unless there was like a spirit or something connected to one of these people, I don't feel like a bad energy would have just come out of nowhere into this random parking lot to do
Yeah.
this. So that's why, so there I go back to like, okay, maybe the truck was the warning, but like in a negative way, like
Yeah.
get out of here or.
So, I mean, of course, like nobody can ever really know the true meaning of everything, but it's interesting that you say that because, like, the general consensus of what people thought of, including me and the OP with like that whole situation, is that the truck was just a person that meant harm on them and had nothing to do with the supernatural, and that the flashing lights in the parking lot was kind of like another supernatural being looking after the girls and trying to scare them away.
Oh.
But so that's like kind of the general consensus, but that someone else commented saying that they think that the truck, whoever was in the truck, may be like very connected with spirits and may have seen something connected to the girls or somewhere in the parking lot, tried to warn them and tried to scare them off by coming around, right?
I guess I just feel like if this truck was just a person who actually meant harm, they wouldn't be flashing their lights at them. Like if you are coming for these people, like if you have
Mm-hmm.
that much intent, you're not gonna.
Yeah, so one of the comment that I'm referencing, it says, "I have a different take on the story. What if the car was the guardian angel? It came there to save you from any potential danger that was going to happen if you kept staying there looking for the DVD at night, especially at a young age. If you think about it, if they really wanted to kidnap you, they would have done it the first time around. Maybe the flashing lights and the cars going off was a sign to tell you guys to go upstairs to safety." And I kind of agree with that more than necessarily the truck being like the danger, you know.
That's just.
And
I
even OP
don't know.
responds to that and says that that's a really interesting way of looking at it. Maybe it was. However, she does say that both her and Betsy have experienced really nightmarish dreams about the truck. She doesn't know why. It could be just because the truck was so terrifying to her at the time, or if it's because there was actually bad energy connected to the truck. It's hard to say because either one of those could be very true and like be why the dreams are happening. But that's why I thought this one was so interesting because there's so many different things it could be.
I'm really hoping that doing this podcast makes us more knowledgeable with stuff like this because the whole idea of this is to like be able to create theories about these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like I know shit. I don't feel like I know anything.
Well, that's okay.
But I just, even after everything that you said, my vote, since she's still having nightmares about them, is that that truck was the warning from the bad spirit, bad energy, whatever. And that energy or what have you got so fed up with them that they weren't listening and weren't taking hints. And they're like, okay, this isn't going to make you leave.
Hmm.
I know something else did.
Yeah, nobody in the comments really mentioned that at all. No one else really has that theory, so that's interesting.
The truck was in control of all of the vehicles.
Yeah, and that could be true because what I keep thinking about also is the fact that the moms had the door to the balcony open and didn't see or hear any of it. Like if they purposefully had the door open to keep an eye on them, you think that they would be alarmed by a truck driving around and revving its engine
I didn't
and
think about
flashing
that
its
because,
lights
like,
and the car hazards going off and everything. Like,
yeah, how do you not, unless they had like music blaring or something in there, which I mean, I'm guessing since they were trying to watch after their kids, they weren't going to be doing that. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So that's why it's just so weird, because I'm like, yeah, like maybe. So I guess the thing I said about that person maybe seeing something and trying to warn them doesn't really make sense, because if the parents also never saw the truck or heard the truck, then like where did the truck come from? And I don't know. It's just
So,
kind of
okay,
weird.
to counter you, maybe. I feel like just hearing a truck honking in a parking lot wouldn't make me like go outside
Okay, but
and
also
look.
put yourself in the shoes of like it's nighttime and your 9-year-old daughters are going out to the parking lot by themselves and you're making sure to keep an eye on them. I feel like if you heard any type of movement or cars, you would at least like glance outside to
That's
see
the
what's going
idea.
on. Yeah, but
It's hard to say.
either way, even when the car alarms were going off and they were running upstairs screaming, they didn't hear anything. Like they were confused why they were so freaked out. So,
Something fishy's going on here.
mm-hmm.
Are there any more theories? Or is that the general consensus? Like either it was good energy from the truck or bad energy from the truck and that was it. Or did the truck have nothing to do with energy at all?
I don't know. There's not that many comments. So, yeah, most of them, they're all either that the flashing lights and like hazards and sirens were a warning for them to get away from the truck, or that the truck was warning them of something. There's not really any other theories besides that. But either way.
That's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And also just having a first-hand witness to be able to say like, yeah, you weren't
Mm-hmm.
crazy, because I feel like that doesn't happen very often unless you like purposefully go with like a friend or something to a place that's supposed to be haunted or whatever.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, like especially with UFOs and stuff, you usually don't have two or more people around
Mm-hmm.
like to say, hey, I saw that too.
Yeah. Which is why she probably just keeps texting her randomly and just being like,
Yeah, like, I wasn't crazy, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to see a picture of the parking lot
Yeah,
layout
let me see
now?
it.
Okay.
I'm not putting it up on the screen again. This is for me.
It's going up on the screen.
A third time?
Oh, no, I thought you meant in general.
No.
So, this was their apartment, their balcony right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm guessing the car was right here.
Okay.
Truck was coming from this way
Mm-hmm.
and kept looping around.
Okay, I keep picturing, like, I know what you said, but I keep picturing, like, this big, um, like, not complex parking lot, but, like, super center parking lot. So now, in that case, it makes it even more crazy that it was probably, well, it was, like, residents of those
Yeah,
complexes' cars
exactly.
in their driveways,
Yeah.
and not, okay, not just the parents, but not a single other person that they know of anyway, or that we
Right. You
know
would
of.
think that if all of the cars started going off, that people would start coming out to their balconies and opening
Yeah.
their doors and seeing what's going on. Yeah.
And I feel like that would have been a very important detail to include in there. And so the fact that
That's true,
she,
but I think that just might have also been common sense with the fact that like the parents didn't realize anything. But yeah.
I'm just saying that if people had come out, I feel like she would have.
Oh yeah.
Is it a she this time? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I just feel like that would have been included. But thanks, OP. That's a really good.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good thinker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of the episode now.
Yeah. Super interesting one, because I feel like a lot of the other stories that we've read, I feel like we've had like a pretty straightforward idea kind of what happened. This one is like a really unknown one, like a very unexplainable one.
Now, if I really hope that there's somebody out there that watches this eventually that actually knows what they're talking about, and aren't just two like 20 somethings and can tell us what's going on.
Yeah. I mean,
Or we could just do that. Okay. Another idea. We have a series where we take certain stories from the episodes that we do and like do like scientific research on them.
Yeah.
And stay tuned.
true.
Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't.
But yeah, I want to hear other people's theories on this too. Not just like on this story, but just on all of our stories in general. If you have any theories or thoughts, put them in the comments. I want to read them. Yeah, that's my story.
I want to read them.
That's the end of that. Unless you have anything else to say about it.
No, I don't think so. Other than my theory, I'm pretty stumped.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a theory.
Yeah.
A game theory. Did you ever watch Game Theory on YouTube?
No.
Oh, sad childhood. I'm just kidding.
I don't know what that is. What is it?
So it's a guy named Matt Pat, and he started a channel with like other people. I could be butchering this like backstory, but anyway, and basically what they do is they find like unknown things about video games and try to create like scientific theory and like different kinds of like informational videos about certain things in games. So like one of the things was actually I have no idea. I was gonna say something about like from Minecraft or something, but I feel like I've talked about Minecraft a lot on here. Anyway,
That's okay. I get the gist of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend checking it out. I'm pretty sure he like just recently, at least like within a year, like either closed down Game Theory or like left it to other people or something, which was like so heartbreaking to me because that was a big part of my like YouTube childhood career history. I don't know. Shout out Matt Pat. Shout out Game Theory. Go check him out. All right. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. This story is an email submission from my auntie. And apparently she has a lot of stories to tell. So this one is titled I See You.
Oh.
Spell I cup.
You think I don't know that one?
No, it's worth a shot. All right. I see you. About 20 years ago, I lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Virginia with my husband. We were newlyweds just figuring out life and adulting. Kind of how we are now. Our bedroom consisted of a full-size mattress on the floor, a dresser, and a chest of drawers with a small TV on top of it.
That sounds exactly like us in our last apartment.
Yeah. That's like the most normal description of like a first apartment ever. The bedroom was at the end of a long hallway, and you could see the doorway from the front door of the apartment. Ew, I don't like that. My husband left for work each day much earlier than I did, and the events I'm about to share took place early in the morning and only after he left the apartment. Have you ever had a dream where you were so freaking scared but you could not move or scream or even wake up?
When you said, have you ever had a dream, it sounded exactly like that kid.
Have you ever had a dream? A dream where you are.
You just quoted that to me today.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It was meant to be.
Anyways.
Have you ever had a dream where you were so freaking scared but but you could not move or scream or even wake up? That's how this whole thing started. I was having bad dreams of a lurking shadow that would creep into my bedroom when I was home alone in the mornings and paralyze me in my sleep. I hate the idea of sleep paralysis once. I hate the idea. I was trying to say I hate the idea of sleep paralysis, and also I've had sleep paralysis once. In my mind,
you've had it once?
Yeah, I'll tell you later. I told you about it before. This is going really well. I'm sorry, guys. I was having bad dreams of a lurking shadow that would creep into my bedroom when I was home alone in the mornings and paralyze me in my sleep. I know, you want to tell me it was just sleep paralysis, right? I mean, that's what I was thinking. Let me tell you right now, no. It says no twice. It was not.
Okay.
I shared these strange experiences with my husband. I told him it felt so real, and I was genuinely getting scared to fall asleep when he wasn't at home. He tried to be understanding, but I could tell he believed I was just having nightmares and nothing more. However, I grew to know that it was much more. I began to dread the mornings. I loved when my husband would kiss my forehead and tell me he loved me and have a good day, babe. But immediately when he closed our front door, I heard the click of the deadbolt. The shadow would creep in and slowly take over. Just like that.
Oh.
It would start by lingering in the bedroom doorway, then get closer to the edge of the bed, taking more and more control as it got closer. I sensed it was a male being, but have no way of knowing that for sure. No matter how hard I tried to stay awake and make sense of it, I could not. Was I going insane? Oh God, I was. Just go ahead and start the IVC paperwork. The shadow was silent, faceless, and very dark at first, but over time it gained a voice and spoke to me. I have no memory of the words, just the voice, deep and infernal. It began to take control of me in the strangest and most uncomfortable ways. One morning, I fell asleep in my bed and woke up in the living room chair, feeling and seeing the shadow over me and with no clue how or when I moved. Oh,
Oh my gosh. That's not okay.
I would wake up completely depleted of energy and sometimes even sore from fighting so hard to move. Even my jaw would be sore from struggling to open my mouth and scream. I know I was awake. This was bigger than bad dreams. This was a spirit, and I could clearly sense that it was not a friendly one. This is so good.
I would like start getting up and leaving at the same time every day and just going and doing whatever until work, go sit at a coffee shop all morning or something. I would not want to be there.
Oh my goodness. I soon found myself consumed with trying to figure out who or what this spirit was, what it wanted, and how I could escape this real-life nightmare. Every morning, I would fight harder and harder to say something, anything, during these episodes. The feeling of being completely helpless and controlled by some other entity with no way to defend myself or even attempt to escape it was the most terrifying thing I have ever experienced. Finally, one morning, I made it a point to stay awake after my husband left. I was going to confront this thing, whatever it was, and rid myself of it. Once the front door closed, the deadbolt clicked, and I was alone. I sat up in the bed, forcing my eyes to stay open, and walked slowly to the living room chair. I wasn't in the chair for 10 seconds before I felt the presence of my shadow stalker. The shadow seemed to pin me down to the chair, and it felt like the weight of a grown adult was on my entire body. It's just one paw from a cat.
This has me like, I'm not actually on the edge of my seat, but I feel like I'm on the edge.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my gosh.
And I lost my place. The shadow seemed to pin me down to the chair, and it felt like the weight of a grown adult was on my entire body. But I was not asleep. This time it was different. The shadow had a hollow, dark face, and it was inches from mine. With all my might, I fought the shadow stalker's control over me and managed to slowly and almost gutturally scream the words, "I see you." Why those were the words I uttered, I have no clue. But then I heard my words echoed in a grumbling, demonic tone back to me. "I see you."
Oh no.
And then it ended. I was completely released by this real-life nightmare, and I slept that entire day in peace. Ooh, this is giving me...
Chills.
Was this a spirit who is fighting to simply be seen? Did the spirit enjoy making me feel helpless and terrified and get bored when I fought back, moving on to the next one? And why me? Was I a target for a reason? I will never know. I wished I had more answers, but I am just glad it is in the past. I have had many other experiences with the paranormal, but never one that made me feel as horrified and as completely helpless as this one.
That is insane.
I don't even know how to begin to create a theory about this.
Both of the ones that she made were good points. Like, if it just wanted to be seen. I mean, I don't know though, because I feel like if that were the case, it wouldn't necessarily be evil or
Yeah,
violent.
if that was its only goal, I mean,
Yeah.
Auntie, I don't even know what to say about this one. I'm glad you're getting this out of your system, for one. It's
I
a
feel like the demon stories always. I never have anything to say because they're just so.
no, because they're just this. I'm more blown away by, I think, than the whole cars thing, which is,
Yeah.
but just the fact that doesn't matter. She didn't have to be in bed and asleep, and that knocks sleep paralysis out the window.
Mm-hmm.
She could get up in the morning and daylight. I'm assuming, I don't really know, and go to her living room or wherever this was and sit in a chair, and this thing just walks in.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm kind of just repeating what was already said, but I'm just like trying to grasp it.
Oops, I just bumped the mic.
You bonked it.
Sorry.
Bonk. I'm at a loss for words, mainly because not that I'm saying I don't 100% believe every other story, but I know this person, and I know this person well,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that she
Yeah.
wouldn't make this up
Yeah.
ever. And so that's like hitting me a little bit harder.
Can't imagine like feeling like that in your own home. You know?
And just like not
Feeling so so afraid of like just being there.
like I can't imagine just not being able to go to sleep or even wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine this place being something like that. And just always having the fear
Yeah,
to
well,
like,
I'm trying to like put myself in her shoes too because like you leave earlier than me too. And so I'm trying to imagine like that same thing with me like happening.
and the fact that it just knew, like, that's so evil.
Exactly
Like
when the
that,
door closes.
and within 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it sits
Oh my
there
goodness.
watching, waiting for him to leave.
I mean, that's a legitimate,
Icky. That's icky.
like, that spirit was a stalker before
Very well
they
could have
died
been. Yeah.
or something.
What if it was like, what if this might be very far fetched. What if the spirit was like a stalker or a murderer of some sort from like a long time ago, and the victim that it was stalking was a girl that like lived in that apartment?
Ooh, that's a good one. Auntie, you should,
Do a little research on the
yeah,
building.
you should look into stalker cases in that town around that time and
Yeah.
see what you can come up with and let us know, because, oh my God,
Yeah. I mean, it could be something like that.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks
Eek.
for sharing with
Ugh.
us, and
Let's shake it out.
I'm glad you survived the shadow stalker, because you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we love you. Do we want to jump to the video that you have prepared for us
Sure.
today?
Yeah.
Do you want to describe to the audience what's happening? Actually, just wait until after,
do you
because
mean?
I haven't seen, to the audience that's not watching and they're listening.
Oh,
They need
yeah.
to know what's going on. We'll just wait until after, because I haven't seen
Okay.
the video yet anyway. So let's do it.
I was just reminded of this because she texted me, but my mom bought gumballs for us to put in our gumball machine.
Thanks,
So
Mom.
now it's no longer empty and it actually looks interesting. Thank you.
But, however, we can't eat a single one of these because
Don't mention it.
I'm gonna mention it because she decided. So we got this gumball machine from Goodwill for like $8 or something, and it was like super dusty and everything. And she got the gumballs and didn't wash it out, And so now all those gumballs are infested with something. Maybe.
It's probably not anything in there that's crazy.
And so, hey,
but you don't know. We don't know what's been in there.
Listen up, Brandy Mom. She ruined all your gumballs.
They're for display.
But what if we?
I don't chew gum anyway.
Okay, but I do.
You want to chew that gum?
Well, not anymore.
But you would have?
Maybe.
Okay. Anyways.
Shall we do the video now?
Yeah. Can I stream it directly from TikTok?
You have to stream your phone to the TV, like I showed you, and then
it'll just like
your
play
whole
my
phone,
screen. Okay. Because I just noticed that the
this
video
is her first time. Just give her a
doesn't
chance.
have. Well, we don't have to put this part in there.
This part's going in there.
Okay.
We don't
Well,
make
everyone's
cuts
gonna know that
unless
I'm
we
an
have to.
idiot when it comes to phones.
She is
Not phones, but like technology. I feel like I
am
am
grandma when it comes to technology. Okay, the things
I'm
that I have
so
to
bad
help
at
her
it.
with.
He's been trying to teach me how to like edit the videos, and every single time he shows me, it just like goes right over my head. Like it's like I just can't figure it out. I don't know. I'm so bad at editing.
Copy and paste and drag and stuff, baby. That's it.
Figuring out how to do things with my phone that's not the basic things. It's quite embarrassing. So I can't believe I'm actually admitting that I'm just such a grandma with that, but
Very much so.
it's fine. Okay, anyways, what am I doing? Okay, hit that button. Roku TV. There we go. I did it.
Okay, we're jumping to the video now.
So here's scene 7.
Okay.
It looks okay, but I am thinking we're gonna have to redo scene 7.
He's like me. Well, nope, he's not like me.
It might be okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think we planned on redoing scene 7, did we?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's that was the last one, right?
Yeah, it's getting a little cold and it should
Okay, let's back up.
be bad.
They're handling this very well.
I'm gonna keep recording with this just for some extra behind the scenes, if that's cool.
Yeah. Literally just gonna.
I'll try and get this in there the fastest that I can.
Yeah, it's really
They're
chilly.
doing a great job. They're ignoring it.
Try and hurry,
I
yeah.
think we should.
Oh, that gives me the shivers.
Will that get in there? Okay, watch your legs. Watch your arms in. Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah, so that is a perfect representation of what you should do if you hear that.
Like, it doesn't. This is the video that stressed me out the most so far. So, yeah, they have to be like Appalachian natives, or just like they're just intelligent, because like you could assume that there's just somebody in the woods messing with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what you do up here in the Appalachian Mountains. You can't just assume these things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
act
because
like you didn't hear it.
for those who don't know, with the flesh pedestrians, as we call them.
Skinwalkers?
Why do you think I said flesh pedestrians?
Because
Don't say it.
I don't mind just saying.
No.
We're not outside.
Okay, now you're acting like the idiot who doesn't know. No, you're not supposed to say it. Okay?
We've said that on other episodes.
Yeah, well, I have decided that we're not going to anymore because it freaks me out. Anyways, for those of you that don't know, with those things, you're not supposed to acknowledge them, because if you do, it kind of gives them like an invitation to enter your house or
your soul,
your car, or to you. So if you ever hear like your name called in the woods,
I got
or
the shivers.
like a cry for help or a whistle, don't acknowledge it. And I know
that's-
for some people it's like, oh, if you hear like a cry for help, I can see why it'd be really hard to not want to try and help. But like, if you're in the Appalachian
Anywhere
Mountains,
else, go for it.
yeah, if you're in the Appalachian Mountains, you ignore it. You let the police handle that. Like, you call the police and you get out. I feel bad for those police officers that got to go do it. But then if there's actually someone that needs help, like, I don't know.
I would
but,
feel bad sending police officers into that.
Well, yeah, but what if there's actually someone out there that needs help?
I know, but
And also because, like, if you're the target by it and then you leave, then it's probably going to leave, right?
yeah.
So, anyways,
Oof.
yeah. That one, I saw that and it, like, really freaked me out
Yeah, that's
because
a good
the whistle was
video.
so defined.
But yeah, it would be hard for me, I feel like, in the moment. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be, but to just, like, ignore it completely because I'd be like, oh my God.
I feel like we would handle it the exact same way that they did. Like, we'd probably have that moment where we stop and just, like, stare at each other in terror for a minute and then we'd be like, okay.
I can't even imagine how my body would react to something like that. That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Even just on the video. Like,
Do you want to tell the story of how you reacted to Abby's barks? Because I feel like that's a funny way to continue this conversation. It's kind of similar.
yeah, I mean, I guess.
Or do you want me to tell it?
No, I'll tell it. So this was early on in our relationship-ish.
Yeah, this was
Kind
probably
of.
like 3 years ago. We'd
Yeah.
been together for a while.
Almost 5 years. Or no, like, I thought
At
you
this
said
point,
currently.
we'd been together for at least like
year
a
and
couple
half,
years.
Yeah.
Because I'd been coming to Sumter for probably about a year now.
And I had just picked her up from the airport in my dad's truck, and we had driven back, gotten all the way home, and pulled into the driveway. And
It was late too. It was like
Yeah.
almost midnight.
yeah, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And everything's dandy. Actually, okay, we had just finished talking about skin,
About skin, yes.
about whatever you call them,
Mm-hmm.
on the way home. And so I was already a little bit on edge. And so we get out of the truck, and so funny. I walk around. Ever since we've been together, I open the car doors, all doors, whatever for her. So I open the passenger door for her. She gets out. I close that door.
Do you need me to finish the story?
No, I got it. I got it. And open the passenger side back door to get the suitcases out and stuff. And the suitcases are out. They're already on the ground. And I didn't know that my dog was outside. And after just finishing talking about, what'd you call them?
Flesh pedestrians.
Flash pedestrians. My dog starts losing her shit.
It wasn't even like she just barked a couple times. She like started like howling. Like she
starts losing it.
yeah,
And
out of nowhere.
I didn't react how I should when I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You can. No, I want to finish it. I'm already too far. I'm already too far in.
No, I want to finish
No,
it.
I want to. This is my thing.
I'm the victim.
But I'm not gonna lie because
Okay,
you'll.
go ahead.
And so, if this is the truck, at first it's her and then me. And long story short, the dog barks in it, and me and her flip flop. I kind of.
Not kind of. You pushed me out of the way so that you could jump into the truck. Yeah.
And
So
immediately I was like, oh my God, why did I just do that? Like, if this was like an actual situation.
yeah, because obviously like I got startled when Abby started barking, but like I kind of was like, oh, like it's Abby. And then I look, and then I realize that you had shoved me out of the way, and I look at you when you're like climbing into the truck, and I'm like, did you actually, like, you genuinely thought that there was danger, and you pushed me out of the way.
I feel like, can I just say that I have grown as a person?
Okay, but
And
we
I feel
haven't
like-
had an experience like that since then. So
I understand.
the next time that this happens, we will see what.
I feel like I have grown as a person, and I feel like we have grown within our relationship, and that has thus made me stronger.
Okay.
And I feel like I would be more driven to protect you.
Yeah, we will see.
But I think that was my first time ever, like, having an experience like that where I was like, I might actually die in this situation. Like, there is something coming after me. Better her than
Better
me, I
than
guess.
you. Yeah.
And so that is a story that...
Yeah, what would you have told my parents if there was actually danger and I died? And you were like, "Oh, yeah,
She just didn't make it.
Definitely did not do everything in my power to protect her."
Survival of the fittest, baby.
Anyways. Yeah. So now y'all know that I'm a grandma with technology, and now y'all know that he just is.
That's why you said,
does
and
that.
was it episode 2 or 3?
Yeah.
You were like, you don't handle scary situations very well, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's the story.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You can call me whatever you want to. I don't care.
It's okay. I'm over it.
It's just
I think
a
it's funny
story to
now,
tell
but
yeah, and
at the time I was not that happy about it.
but I'm a better person now. I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one day, I will make it up to you. I will avenge your almost
I kind of
death.
hope that there's not a situation that needs to happen.
Well, me neither. But that, friends, is why you own a gun.
Okay, but like that situation, it's not like you were reaching for a gun or anything. You were just
Correct. That's why I'm saying
jumping out
I
of the
should.
way. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, do we
Enough
want to move
shaming
on to
me.
the next story?
Yeah.
So this one is like, it's a series of like 4 stories, but they kind of all connect. It's this guy that I've been kind of talking with on Reddit about, because I read this first story and I thought it was really interesting. So I messaged him, and he basically sent a email thread of like tons of stories, and I haven't had the chance to go through and read them yet, but I am going to read the stories that he's posted publicly on Reddit first, because I have read those already and they're good. So I will go through those stories in the next week and get it all organized so that next episode I can read some of them.
Before you get started, can I take a potty break?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Are you relieved now?
Yes, I apologize. I have been very good today and drinking a lot of water and staying hydrated, and I just got to do my business.
Yeah. And also, before I read these, I just want to thank this person for taking the time to type out all of these stories and send them to us, because it's a lot of great content. And
Did they say they
we
wanted
love
to
read
remain
this.
anonymous? They gave us a fake
No.
name.
Well, yeah, we're going to credit them, but it is technically anonymous because we're not going to reveal like their real name.
Yeah. But do you have the fake name, or do I need to say the fake name?
Well, I was just going to read their Reddit name, but I guess you can read the name that they sent.
Well, they prefer to go by Kane Ferrari, which, regardless if that's your real name or not, it's a badass name.
Yeah.
I also go by Kane Ferrari now.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So, this is posted in the Paranormal Encounters Reddit subreddit, and the title is, for this story, is The Beginning of My Experiences. Hello all. I'm hoping that many read my words and hopefully respond with any experiences relating to my own, as I feel I should no longer hold these stories privately. I said that really weird. Privately. And should share them with the world. If we do not share what we have witnessed, we may never piece together the massive puzzle that is the paranormal through most, if not all, of its intricacies. I'm happy to answer any questions that I have the answers to, so please feel free to ask me anything. I have quite a few to go over, but am going to go mostly in chronological order. I will preface these stories with a definition of the accompanying feeling that is present during every one of these events, outside of the Bigfoot one. Ooh, a little foreshadowing. A feeling of dread. Maybe it's not dread by definition, but it's a very significantly hopeless, fearful feeling that you need to move right that instant, because something's right there with you. During the dread, there is complete silence. Even that slight ringing in your ears stops. There's also often a cold sensation. It all started on Christmas Eve in 1994, or at least that's the first time I noticed it for what it was. Mind you, I was only 12. Anyways, I was in the bathroom at like 12 a.m., and I heard children talking outside. I thought to myself, how nice, kids talking and enjoying Christmas Eve. Shouldn't children be waiting for Santa at this hour? It's midnight. I walked outside to see if they were there, as I imagined they may be attempting to attack my residence, but there were no footprints anywhere in the snow. I shrugged it off, and for a few years, nothing but an odd feeling was evident. In March of 1998, things started to get weird. Sorry, everybody. The camera stopped recording.
That was sick.
Anyways, let's just keep going. It's okay. In March of 1998, things started to get weird. I was sitting on the couch watching Married with Children at 11:30 p.m., and everything was usual. All of my family was asleep, my sister sleeping in my room. She felt scared sleeping in her room oddly, and her pet ferret continuously escaped its cage and would lay on her face in her sleep, and I had bunk beds, so it wasn't a problem.
That's a funny detail.
All of our pets were asleep, and all of a sudden I hear this maniacal laughter pouring from her slightly ajar bedroom door. At first, I thought I was crazy, then it happened again, and then trailed off as if it left. I jumped off the couch, went to the kitchen, and held 2 knives and taunted the bedroom, not knowing if it was a ghost or an intruder of a more natural persuasion. Finally, I put down my weapons and made it to my parents' bedroom door, where I awoke my father, who proceeded to barge in the room and tell me I was an idiot. Seemingly so, I got into bed before he even left the room. From that point on, things wouldn't stop happening. TVs would turn on and off, things could be heard moving around, and faucets turned on and off by themselves. I'll post again soon if there seems to be genuine interest. I just don't want to spam the page. So, that's the first part of the story.
Wow.
Extensive encounters number 2. This one time, I was invited to a party where there would be much imbibing, so I was intending to stay the entire night. Well, there was less consumption than anticipated, so even though I got permission, I had just turned 21 a few months prior, and my dad wasn't yet used to the idea that I would be drunk. Anyway, I go and come back around 6 a.m., and my dad is pissed. I'm like, what the heck? And he's like, that damn ghost attacked your sister last night, and you should have been here. I'm all, yeah, I should just stick around in case something from another dimension wants to stop by. I inquired of my sister about what had transpired, and this is what she said. She was talking on the phone and began to feel the dread, so she wanted to get into the room and close the door, but had to get ready for bed first. As she was doing this, there's a stack of folded laundry sitting neatly on a rocking chair, which had a seat that declined downwards towards the back of the chair, meaning those clothes couldn't just fall forward naturally. As she's getting ready, she can see the chair from the bathroom. She noticed movement and watched as the entire stack of towels fell off the chair. Perturbed, but not yet fearful, she proceeded to restack the laundry and then continued preparing for slumber. The dread intensified, and she watched as the towels fell again, but with enough force to move them a short distance away from the chair. That was enough for her to get into that room and shut the door. Now, she's still on the phone, on speaker, so the other person can hear everything. Now, the dread is back, and all of a sudden, the thing starts pounding on the door so hard, she thought it was going to break down. She, of course, began screaming in terror, waking up my parents, who also heard the commotion. The one night...
Finally, somebody else knows what's going on.
Yeah. My sister was in her bedroom, a friend was watching TV in the den, and I was on my computer in the living room. Now, my dad has an amazing sound system in the living room, which consisted of 6 speakers, 2 4-foot, 2 2-foot, and 2 1-foot, with all the fixins, 1980s fixins. As I'm sitting there, I begin to hear a sound with a slight dread feeling. I look up and scream to my friend, what's happening? The sound was the amp turning itself on, then the 5-disc CD changer turned on while I watched it, and it began changing through the discs. It got to the third, and then started clicking through the tracks, then started playing. Since the sound system was so massive, my dad always had the amp turned the entire way down. Apparently, little ghost fingers can't turn the thing up, so I had to do it.
Stupid ghost fingers.
What song was it? I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones.
I can't get no satisfaction.
That was the last thing it did for a very long time, but I also moved out, so that might be why I wasn't noticing anything new. I actually tested the dread feeling once. My ex-wife and I were at my parents' house, and we had to get something in the basement, in the far back. I could feel the dread feeling as we walked down the stairs, and since this stuff is so weird, I always test things before I'll even imagine it's paranormal. So this was another opportunity, and I didn't tell my ex. We get halfway to the back, and I stop because it's getting really strong. I look back at her. She's super pale, and she said, "We need to get upstairs right now." That's post number 2.
Oof.
Apparently the testing was correct.
Wow. Great.
Freaky.
Great.
This is where the stories take a little bit of a turn to a little bit of a different thing.
Different thing.
You'll see what I mean.
Right.
July 24th, 2000 is the night of this experience, but through years of trying to uncover what I witnessed, discovered that this has been going on since at least 1923 in my neighborhood. In 1987, this same, or at least similar craft, almost landed on one of the biggest highways in Pennsylvania, Route 30, which they seemed to follow. This road runs right through Chestnut Ridge, which is where I think they are coming and going. Anyway, I have always been enamored with the stars, so I used to stargaze quite often in my youth, and as my parents' house is... Sorry, lost my spot. As my parents' house is out in the middle of nowhere, and you can see all the stars on a clear night when everyone shuts their lights off and go to bed.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, being in the middle of nowhere, there's a lot of critters that will assail you if you're out in the middle of a 6-acre field at 2 a.m. And therefore...
I've never heard, I know, assailant. Like, there's an assailant, but I've never heard
Yeah.
assail you. I'm going to assail you.
Yeah. Therefore, I requested people to sit with me and we'd converse about everything. It was always a pleasant experience, so we tried to do so under full moon so we could see any trouble incoming. So we're just standing there chatting about life, and suddenly we hear this very loud, continuous boom coming from the sky to the west. It's the Wicked Witch of the West.
The Wicked Witch of the East, bro.
There was nothing there. However, above our heads was a 200-foot-long craft that was low enough you could easily hit it with a rifle, just hovering in silence over our heads. The guy with me says...
The complete silence really says something. Like, the fact that it's that close to you, and any other earthly aircraft, you would, if you didn't see it, you would be able to hear it. But just the fact that, if you would, fallen asleep or something, and, in the grass, and you woke up, and you were like...
Yeah, because, aircrafts are very, very loud. Deafeningly loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You get what
My
I'm
point
saying.
exactly, yeah.
Anyways, at this point... Wait. The guy with me says, "Are we really seeing that?" And I thought, so that's what it is.
We were just talking about this, actually I said it's not usual that you have somebody with you.
Yeah.
Seeing a UFO with you at the same time.
Exactly. At
It's
this
all coming
point,
together.
I had seen this thing 11 other times, but flying extremely high into the blue until it disappeared. It very much resembled a blimp without the gondola, so I thought it was a blimp and was impressed that they made the blimp that could handle those air pressures and altitudes.
Good job, Lynn.
Yeah, wasn't a blimp. It was cigar-shaped with 3 red lights pulsing slowly on each side. So I run in to get a camera, but as this was 2000, we only had our 1989 camcorder that needed to be plugged in to operate, and only flash film cameras. So I grabbed binoculars because I wanted to really see this thing. But now we look again to the west as the sound kept getting louder, and following this thing were 5 Harrier-type jets in a V formation. I say that because it was difficult to see the colors of the jets. The ship was very shiny. They followed it until they were out of sight. The weirdest part about that is that they seemed like they were moving in slow motion, but their afterburners were all on. This is not the end of this story. Has anyone else seen anything like this?
Not me.
Not me.
I wish that would be cool. I feel like I was in Star Wars or something.
I would be terrified if it's quiet and nice and I'm stargazing and then you hear loud noises and you look over for a few seconds.
But there were no loud noises.
Yeah, he said that there were booms coming from the west. You look to the west for a few seconds and you look back and there's a gigantic silent aircraft above your heads.
My thing is, though, like, if they don't do anything to me, I'm just going to be like, wow.
Okay, but my first thought if I saw that was, I'm about to get abducted by aliens. And I'd start freaking out.
Look, it's pretty ships. It's like I'm in Star Wars.
Okay. This is the final part. There is another part, but I'll review it first to see if I want to read it.
I think
this says final, but they had posted another one after.
I think you should let the suspense linger.
Okay.
Even with like the next part. Like, does this last part tie into what we just heard about?
It's different.
Okay.
This is the final part of this story series. I'm just going to finish the last story, as this will be the last of my stories I'll be sharing here. Not here. We have many more.
I hope so. It feels like you've read the entire email already.
Oh, I'm sure there are way more in the email.
Okay.
I appreciate those who took the time to comment, but it doesn't seem like I'm reaching the audience I would like to, as I truly do believe these stories need to be heard, and it's a lot to type up for no reason. Which is exactly why I'm very glad that he decided to type this all up to send to us.
There's a reason.
Yeah. The next morning, I was still awake because it's hard to sleep after that. I had taken my friend home in the early morning hours, but the sun was up, probably between 6 to 8 a.m. He leaves the car and says, "We really saw that last night, didn't we?" I don't recall my response. I immediately went home, jumped online, and looked for any info on it, as I was still convinced it was a secret ship from the government, which is why 5 jets were following. Because it was human, right? It had to be. Well, that didn't last long. So
the jets looked like our jet, or like was he not able to like?
He said Harrier type jets. So here, let me Google Harrier. I'm Googling it.
I'm Googling it.
So like this, it's like It's like a type of attack jet. You can put the picture up there too.
It's British. The Harrier jump jet.
That does kind of look like it would be kind of extraterrestrial, you know? Like I could see that being like.
I mean, maybe in the moment you don't know what's going on, but like just looking at it, I'm like,
I mean, no, it looks like a regular jet, but like also it kind of looks. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, so I pass out early the next night and wake up pretty early. The sun was just coming up. I got out of my bed like any other day. I had bunk bed, so there's a certain way I got out of bed so I didn't hit the TV, which was by the ladder. Walked through the house to let our 2 large dogs out. I shut the door and suddenly I hear a bird shrieking. I thought to myself, oh crap, Snowy just killed a bird. I opened the door and Snowy was walking up to the porch, the dead bird in her mouth, which she left at my feet. It was a very bright blue, but not a jay. So it was interesting she managed to kill a bird that was so rare to see. Then I woke up for real. It was just a dream. There was no bird. I was pleased because I don't like senseless killing. So I get out of my bed like any other day, walk through the house, let the dogs out. As I step foot through the archway, as I heard in the dream, I hear the bird shriek. The only difference of my dream and this scenario is that instead of thinking Snowy just killed a bird, I instead thought, no way. I open the door and Snowy walks up to me with the dead bird in her mouth, sets it down at my feet. It's the blue bird from the dream.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, no way.
That's crazy.
And they end it by saying, good luck to all of those with real experiences who are looking for answers. I hope you find them. So that's the last that I'll read from this person for this episode. Again, like I said earlier, I'm going to go through all of the stuff that they sent.
So Kane Ferrari has given us a little bit of everything.
Some really good stories.
We've got ghost demon stuff. We've got dream to reality stuff. We got UFO stuff.
Mm-hmm. And he did foreshadow some Bigfoot stuff, which I'm guessing we'll see some of that in the email submission. So I'm so excited to read those. I have been meaning to get to those for the past few days. He sent them a few days ago, and I just have been.
There's just so much going on. Like I don't even know like where to start.
Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy that like one person is experiencing this many types of encounters.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do with myself.
I'm glad I'm not that person.
But I am glad that we are able to talk about these stories and spread the word, because it seems like he really wants people to hear about it. So I'm glad that we're able to do that. And hopefully our show keeps getting more traction and
That's the
more
goal.
people. So, yeah.
I kind of want to save my last story for next time. I feel like you really just like
You don't want to
share
share your last story?
I don't even remember what my last story. Once again, William is
Well, what are we at
unprepared.
for time?
I don't know, because the camera stopped recording, and
Well,
I mean, again, time doesn't really matter, but
yeah. Well, I
feel
just
like
thought
we've. Let me see. Say something while I'm looking for this.
So, our subreddit now has 4 members, 2 more from last episode.
I haven't looked. Do we actually?
Yeah, I looked earlier today. I'm not sure who the 2 new members are because.
Well, it's good if we don't know. That means
I
it's
don't know
random
if I can
people.
see that, but yeah, I saw that today and I was like, wow, we've got 2 new people joining in.
This actually, it's only 2 more people. But that's actually really exciting.
It is, because Reddit is so hard to get like followers on, like.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How exciting! Thank you to other people.
Yeah, thank you. Yay. And this is also your weekly reminder that we have merch.
We do have merch.
And so go check it out. It's only 1 t-shirt right now, but
yeah, as I say every time, it's only 1 merch, but it's pretty cool, and we would love to see you repping us. And
we would.
I will say, legitimately, the brand of shirt that the artwork is on is probably my favorite brand of t-shirt to wear.
It's very soft and very.
It's called Next Level Apparel, I believe. I actually think this is this one actually. This is Sanjay Parik's shirt. He's the photographer for Shinedown, and I'm pretty sure this is the same brand. And I love it. Super comfortable. Can wear it whenever.
Yeah.
But don't just pick it up because it's soft. Pick it up because you like us. It is on www.speartalkpodcast.com, along with all the other Spear Talk Network merch, which the artist that John has designed everything. It's more than one artist that he's worked with, but all of them are absolutely incredible. So go check it out. SpearTalkPodcast.com.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll read my last story.
Yay.
So this comes from Reddit, but the user is asking to remain completely anonymous. But I will say it does come from the paranormal subreddit. And the title is, "It Doesn't Feel Friendly Anymore."
Uh-oh.
And it's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a surprise for both of us, because I feel like I just kind of skimmed over it, which is what I do most of the time with these stories, so I don't like
Really?
miss out on
I
the
always
surprise.
Every time I come across a story, most of the time I'll come across them while I'm in my car during the day, and I will stop. Like if a title looks interesting, I will stop and I will sit there and I'll read it out loud to myself like I'm reading it on here because I want to know if it like sounds interesting.
That's very smart of you, but
I feel like I want to hear if it would sound interesting, like coming from me talking about it. So I'm quite the opposite. I go really deep into the stories.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. It doesn't feel friendly anymore. A few years ago, I was living in a house with a bunch of activity. Every night, I was woken up by knocking and scratching. Oh, the scratching.
Ew. Oh, my God. I have heard scratching in the walls before.
Here?
No, not here. I'll tell the story after you tell the story. But I just got reminded of that. This is an experience that I completely forgot about, so.
Every night, I was woken by knocking and scratching on the wall behind my head, despite that wall not connecting to a neighbor. I put this down to animals, but it spooked me a bit. Then my cat started acting strange around the wardrobe in our bedroom. That's when you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was there when we moved in, and she would sit and stare at it for hours, occasionally moving to stick her face down the side of it and meow. We moved the wardrobe expecting to find a dead mouse or something of that nature, but there was nothing there. Just an old makeshift cane/rod that I'd believe was only used in a playful way and not as a genuine punishment for someone. We put the cane back, but after that our toddler started waking up screaming in the night and pointing in terror at the ceiling in her room, saying,
oh my gosh, no.
saying, "Man there," over and over.
No.
We moved her bed into our room after the third time this happened.
Ew.
One night, I was laying in bed about to go to sleep when I heard someone downstairs. I panicked, desperately tapping my partner's arm trying to wake him without alerting the intruder. He wasn't waking up, and eventually I heard someone making their way up the stairs. I grabbed a nearby pair of scissors and waited to be confronted with the stranger. But as they walked into the room, they didn't. I could hear their footsteps continue into my room, but no person was connected to them. I froze in fear and listened to the footsteps stop next to the wardrobe. Then they disappeared. We moved out shortly after for unrelated reasons, and over the years the activity seems to have gotten worse. My family constantly hears each other talking or calling out for one another, even though it wasn't us.
No, they have a mimic. No.
For example, I heard my daughter clear as day say, "Hey," right behind me the other week, so I said, "Hey," back. Of course, she was on the other side of the house. My daughter, 5 when this happened, went to get a plate from a low-down kitchen cabinet and told me she heard a man's voice in there saying, "Hello, I see you." I checked for any spaces that could lead to the neighbor's house through there and found nothing. Every night my daughter will now have night terrors. She never remembers them. She's afraid of going into certain rooms alone. Other rooms are fine. She'll regularly hear me calling to her and call back asking what's up. I tell her I never shouted her name, but she's convinced that it's me and I'm just messing with her. Now here's my mistake. I bought an Ouija board and into the house after my grandma passed.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Out of curiosity, as I've never used one before. My daughter wanted to join and ask for a name. The planchette just spelled "hi" over and over, and when asked, "Would you like us to go?" it said yes. So we stopped the game, but we forgot to say goodbye.
Okay.
Don't mess with those things,
okay,
dude.
I'm sorry.
Dude, whenever I wasn't in youth group in church at the time, but my sister was, and the youth pastor never really talked about paranormal things or anything that much, but he said Ouija boards do not mess with them, but he would never specify why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and especially if you're gonna use one,
use it correctly.
At least use it the way it's intended to be used. To not close it out, not to say goodbye. Oh gosh,
yeah,
that pains me.
Pretty big mistake.
Oh,
OP. I assumed any weird experience was either my imagination or my grandma coming to check in, so I welcomed it. Every noise or shadow I saw drifting across the hallway, I said out loud, "Hey, Grandma." Well, whatever happened an hour before writing this, it wasn't my grandma. I was having a bad dream, nothing crazy, but I was walking around town in the 40s or 50s, eating boiled sweets and drinking awful coffee, when a man in a suit brushed up against my back. I took my backpack off to check nothing was wrong with it. The top had been opened, but nothing had been taken or left inside. I felt that was strange, but continued on my day. I visited the cinema and decided to get some food when I saw the same man. Coincidence, but we're in the same town, so it wasn't too strange. Until he bumped into me again, which didn't make sense as he had plenty of space. The room was huge. I took my bag off to inspect it, and this time he hurried off as though he'd put an explosive in my bag. It was open, but again, nothing in there. At this point, I told myself to look at the clock. The time was all jumbled, and it reminded me I was dreaming, and I promptly woke up. As soon as I woke up, I heard it. Someone walking up the stairs. He was humming to himself, the same 3 notes over and over. I kept my eyes shut and tried to nudge my
That's so
partner to
creepy.
wake him up. Again, he wasn't waking. I heard the man walk into the bedroom, come to the side of my bed. All things I could have written off, but then he moved part of the cover off me. Ugh. I felt it. I felt the cold air hit my shoulder as the cover came off. I felt the sensation of the cover moving off me. I felt him standing close to me and heard him shifting the weight of his feet between each other. I was completely convinced there was a non-paranormal, full-flesh human standing next to me, and that I needed to open my eyes and fight him or I'm done. So I counted down and sprung open my eyes to be greeted by nothing. I shook my partner awake this time and told him everything. I was sweating and my heart was pounding at this point from the adrenaline of preparing to fight an intruder, and I was struggling to calm myself back down. He went back to sleep, and I sat here thinking back on the similarities between tonight's events and the one years ago in a different house. This one felt much more malicious. The man in my dream terrified me. He was tall and fairly skinned, in a gray suit that didn't seem to fit him properly. He looked a little disheveled and was maybe in his 40s. I got the feeling he used to work for a government agency, but either left or was fired. And he was so calm, but I felt this cruelty about him, just a completely cold person. I have a huge migraine, and there's no way I'm getting back to sleep. So if you made it this far, please let me know your thoughts. Is this just a mixture of old plumbing and my imagination, or is there something else I should consider here?
Old plumbing? No way.
My dreams often end up coming true a few weeks to a few months after I've had them. They're incredibly vivid, and I can figure out I'm in a dream pretty easily to influence whether I wake up or not. This one I just can't figure out. I don't recognize this man at all. Why was I in the 40s or 50s? What was he trying to put in my bag? The whole thing has left me confused.
He's definitely trying to reach out to you, send you a message of some sort.
Well, I mean, I don't know how old this person is, but given the possible age of your grandmother, like the 40s and 50s could have something to do with that.
That's true. I don't know,
So there's a
that's so
comment.
weird.
And somebody said, I'm not going to read the whole comment, but somebody said, and if what you say is true, it is also clear that it's you guys that are haunted rather than a land or residence.
Mhm.
This follows you, whatever this is. Do you have any idea which one of you is the one this thing is attached to? Try to find out if you don't already know. Could be one or all of you. And then the OP said, I see your point. Although I felt spooked or a bit unsettled in the past, I never felt genuine terror or like I was unsafe until last night. That's why it felt like something just existing alongside us in the past, but not something that genuinely wanted to cause harm or upset. Whereas now it feels purposeful. I believe it could be attached to me. When I recently went for a solo trip, I was still hearing whispers in my hotel room with me, to the point I got up and checked under the bed, behind the mirror, etc. At one point, a light in my hotel room turned on for about 5 seconds, then went off again, and I had the constant feeling of being watched. Ugh, I'm getting shivers right now. Even now, as I type this and I'm home alone, I feel as though something is in the doorway of my kitchen just looking at me, like I'm being toyed with. I hate this so much. My partner and daughter don't have these experiences when they stay at somebody else's house. It's only when they're in the house with me. I had many unexplained experiences growing up, and it never mattered what house I was in. I used to stay at my friend's house as a child that was extremely haunted. They had recorded proof, and even her parents were strictly against ever her using a Ouija board, even outside the house. My dad's side of the family has always spoken about their paranormal experiences, and my great-grandparents were clairvoyants as their career, so it's never been a new thing for me. It's new that it feels so cruel, like I'm being played with for the fun of seeing me scared.
definitely seems like it's attached to her. And I think there is something attached to her. I feel like whatever or whoever it is has just gotten so comfortable and just...
I don't think a story has made me this uneasy yet. Just like the idea of like something being like always watching you and like you knowing it but not being able to place it.
That, and also like having to come to terms with the fact that something might be attached to you and not just your house is terrifying, because then it's like, how do you escape this? Like,
there's
can
not
you
a whole lot you
ever?
can do about it unless you like go to like I don't even know what it's called, like.
And even then, like, who knows if that'll even work? Like, you could do all that and then think you're good,
And it gets
then
angrier.
Yeah, and then it starts getting worse, or it just comes back and it's like defeating. Like, I can't imagine that. I'm sure my Aunt Sam will have a lot to say about that whenever we hear from her.
Yeah.
My aunt, she has so many stories. I know she's listening to this, so she's going to get really excited to hear that she's mentioned. But she has so many stories, and such like terrifying stories. Kind of similar to this, like very like,
and like
demonic
things that you would want to be like, there's no way that this is possible.
If I remember correctly, she's told me that she feels like something has been attached to her and following her entire life as well. And she has so many stories, and like is such a good storyteller that I'm saving all of her stories for when we can get her to be here in person to talk about it, because I just really want her to like be able to tell her own stories. But anyways, yeah, that reminds me a lot of the stories I've heard from her.
Well,
that's so scary.
OP,
and also that they're dealing with this like right now, like presently. Like, this isn't like a past story. Like, this stresses me out. I'm so sorry. Like,
I don't even know what to say. Like, I mean, there isn't really a whole lot of theories to create here other than like what's going on with the dreams. Like, obviously there is 100% something connected to you. The fact that it doesn't happen to anybody else whenever you're not there, and you've experienced it and just in a hotel. I mean, come on. That thing is out for, I don't know if it's vengeance or out to tell you something, or
I would like to know if this spirit is someone, or demon, whatever it is somebody that is somehow connected to her, like through her family, like through her bloodline.
Well, I was thinking about like through her grandma or something.
Like someone who knew her grandma, or if it's just some random person, like random spirit that had come across her at some point in her life and just decided to latch onto her.
If you have more dreams and you start connecting things,
oh my God, please update us. Please
reach out.
Yeah, we will talk about it again.
100%. Because dreams are one of the most fascinating things to me, like in general.
Especially when it's connected to this kind of stuff, like premonition dreams or
like
messages.
reoccurring things. But like they're not like the same exact thing over and over again. They like are slowly developing.
Yeah.
This has been the best episode so
for sure. I feel like every story we've told has been kind of like,
we're gonna have a lot of good clips for this one.
Yeah. My little story about hearing the scratching is nothing compared to this now that I've heard this story, but I'll still tell it just because I mentioned it. This was from an Airbnb that we'd stayed in California. In 2023, like fall of 2023. And we were like right outside of Sequoia National Park in California, and we were staying in this Airbnb. We all hated it. Like, the second that we got there, we all just knew the vibes were off. Like, none of us liked it. We all thought it was really creepy. But I think we stayed there for 3 or 4 nights. And the first couple of nights that we each had our own bedroom, and in my bedroom, the first 2 nights I heard scratching that sounded like it was coming from inside the walls. And like, I'm inside your walls. since like the first night that it happened, I was like, okay, well, we are like out in the middle of the woods and like whatever. It's probably just like a squirrel or a mouse or something. But then the second night, it sounded more like it was like kind of outside the house and it was kind of like going around. And the next morning, after the second night that I had heard it, my dad, he always gets up really early, and so it was probably like 5 or 5:30 when this happened, and he said he was sitting in like the dining area, which you can like see the front door from, and he said that something like legitimately like pushed on the door hard enough to where it like moved, and it was like a loud bang, but there was nothing outside. And like we think it could have been a bear, which like is very likely, but the whole vibes of the house were off and it was just like really bad.
Yeah,
And
if you can walk into a place and be like,
and then the next couple of nights that we were there, my parents were upstairs. Matthew and I were in the like living room area, which is connected to the dining table room that he was at. We heard the same scratching and like pushing up against the door that my dad said that he heard, and we ran upstairs and we were like, we just heard it too, and we didn't see anything outside. So again,
I am so
it
stressed
definitely
out right
could have
now.
been an animal, but I don't know.
Well, the fact
We
that y'all
never
didn't see
saw
anything
we
ever-
never
yeah.
saw an animal. So yeah,
Explain that, skeptics.
every Airbnb we've ever stayed in, for the most part, we've like enjoyed, and we'd be like, oh yeah, we'd go back there if we were back in the area. This one, we were all like, never coming back, never again. But yeah, that's not nearly as creepy as her
No,
story, because
but
this one
that-
has an
It
explanation.
would. I mean, that would freak me out too. It wouldn't take much.
well, it was
for me.
scary, but it was also scary knowing that there might have been a bear, because we were in like brown bear territory too. So we didn't know if it was a black bear or brown bear or what it
Yeah.
was. Anyways.
What an episode!
Yeah.
This was really.
I feel like this is going to be a really long episode. I feel like we've been talking for a long time.
Hey, bring
I
it
mean,
on.
yeah, I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
It's
but
just the different lighting and like
that could be
there's-
true too. Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, I want to make a not podcast related shout out
Okay.
to my uncle, Eric Bass. He just put out, finally, after what seems like eons, he has finally put out his solo record titled Eric Bass Presents I Had a Name. It is 12 songs, 47 minutes of greatness. And I'm not just saying that because I know I'm saying that because I have ears and I know what good music sounds like. And if you like rock, if you like Broadway, I say that because it's like kind of like a rock on Broadway kind of vibe is what I get from it. I can't remember if he said that or not, but that's kind of what some of the songs I get that vibe from it. He did everything by himself. He played every single note. He sang every single word. Well, actually, that's not true. He had some kiddos sing some parts, but otherwise, he put everything together himself, and it is absolutely incredible. And I'm so glad it's out to the world. And yeah, go check it out. Eric Bass Presents I Had a Name. That's all I got to say about that. Yeah, what an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Good time.
Yeah. This was a really great time.
Thank you for joining us as always. Hope that you stick around, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.